Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2027 budget presentations by department heads. For the record, let it show that all the commissioners are present with us today. And Clark, you're up first. Come on up, buddy.
Nope. There we go.
Now it's on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Clark McAllister. I'm the County Extension Coordinator and Agriculture and Natural Resources Agent for the Dawson County Extension Office. And I'm here today to present a budget increase, not necessarily with the regular line items. Most of those are fairly flat and conservative to what we normally do. But in particular, I'm asking for a slight increase for our County Extension Admin Assistant. I'm requesting an increase of $1,397.68 in salary. This would get the total funding that the county would give to $10,000. It would also incur $106.92 and for taxes, and $311.96 for employer TRS contributions. So there is a little bit added cost with that, and just in the way that our salaries are set up. I'm asking this because for a couple of reasons. One, I think the position allows that. The job description has changed a lot since the person who's there started. Of course, like every job, the complexities are going up. And also, I believe that we'll have a retirement in this position coming on sometime next year. And so University of Georgia has told me it's going to be a lot easier to rehire if we have the base funding here at $10,000. So hoping to make that more competitive and easier when that time unfortunately comes and we have to rehire that in the near future.
Any questions for Clark? As he said, his regular budget is actually less than what it was. Any questions for him in reference to his request? Next up, we have Chief Leash, Mercy Services.
Good morning. Do you have a preference of where we start?
Let's start with the personnel.
Okay. As you recall, last year we asked for 3 firefighter paramedics and 3 firefighter EMTs. The board approved last year the 3 firefighter paramedics, and this year we're asking for those additional 3 firefighter EMT positions. I believe last board meeting, the county manager made the announcement that our 5th med unit, Med 3, is now in service down in the 400 corridor. It's taken a lot of strain off the system down there, but we had to take 3 firefighters off of a fire engine to put to staff that ambulance. And so those,
Which engine did they come off of?
engine 1.
How many did that leave on it?
2.
2, okay. Still has 2.
Yes.
Okay.
So adding these 3 additional positions would put that 3rd person back on engine 1, being that that's our 2nd busiest area, 2nd busiest station, is station 1.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
And, gosh, sorry. Also, the 3 is what we talked about last year, adding each year to be able to put us where we need to be when, I think it's at the end of the SPLOST, we have the other 2 stations, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple
I
years
just want to
from
make
now.
sure that was kind of we were,
Yeah, ideally in a situation like that, when you're building stations farther out, you want to try to staff a little bit at a time as you move
right.
through the time, so that way when the station opens, you don't have to hire 12 people all at one
Right.
time.
I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't just for this one scenario. It's every year we're looking to add the 3.
Correct.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Okay,
That's it for the personnel.
all right. Talk a little bit about your capital request.
We only have 1 capital request this year. We would like to replace we have old hydraulic rescue tools that are run with hoses and a gas-powered motor and things like that. What we want to do is replace them with all electric. They run off a battery. They're grab and go. You know, we have a lot of rural areas where cars run off and down hills, and lately we've had a lot of aircraft falling out of the sky, which requires us to climb through the bushes to get to them. The rescue tools that we have that we're asking to replace requires multiple people to carry them in and operate them. And we've had an issue with a couple of these sets, the last 2 sets of gas-powered equipment, where the gas-powered motors won't start, which means the hydraulic tools won't work. The electric ones work off of DeWalt batteries, so we could literally go down to Home Depot and buy a battery if we needed to replace it, and it's one person can grab and go. It's that fast. So we're asking to replace the 2 remaining gas-powered hydraulic tools, and it's about $85,000 to replace 2 full sets.
Questions? I don't see any major changes in your operating budget, so
No, I was going to say, my staff and I took great pains in being very conservative and excluding pay, benefits, and utilities, which we really have no control over. Out of the approximately $1.4 million of line item stuff, we're only asking for $48,000 increase across all 4 divisions. So it's not much.
questions?
There's, I feel like there's always areas for efficiencies, not necessarily cutting services, but there's areas of efficiencies, and it's going to be a question that I'm going to ask every department head this year specifically, because there's a lot of ambiguity as we look at what's happening with the state level with property tax and what that looks like. So I think we need to be very diligent at looking at both sides of the coin, which is the revenue side as well as the expense side. So I don't want to put you on the point today, but I'd like for you to go and think through where is somewhere in my budget I can find efficiencies. Not cutting services, but is there something that we can do more efficient? Is there ability to add a particular line item that would then turn around and generate a ROI on the backside? I want us to be diligent with acknowledging the fact that we're going to try to find efficiencies in our operations.
And we are doing that.
And that's fair. If you're doing that, let's document it. Let's be able to show, because when I go to a citizen and say, you know, the reason why I can't roll back the millage rate 100% is because we have budget items and things. I also want to say we're doing everything we can within our control, within our department heads that are finding efficiencies in everyday operations. And if we can document that, I think that helps us support when you do have increases and needs for increases, to know that we're doing everything we can and scraping by every penny, and we're looking for efficiencies, and we still need a little bit more.
Yes, sir.
I know this is going to come at a later date, but to kind of play off of that, I know that you and Joey have been talking about ambulance services and collecting those bills and using a different company and rolling that out potentially, or it comes in front of us. I think that alone is going to be a huge, not savings, but like help us with collecting a lot more money than what's due instead of having to write that off every year. So I think that's a huge way that you guys can do that and are already doing that. And then I'm looking forward to that coming in front of us for those changes. I think that'll be a big one for your department for sure.
Other questions for the chief? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Superior Court, Jason. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for the opportunity to speak for a few minutes. We haven't done a budget hearing in a couple of years, so I might say a little bit more than what is strictly necessary, but it's a good opportunity to just kind of touch base again on how things are going in Superior Court and what we're doing. Of course, Chief Judge Deal is here as well. He's going to interject at several points, and I'm sure you will as well if we run into any questions. We also have Katie Mincy, our Deputy Court Administrator, in the back, who prepares our budget and is our Chief Financial Officer. Kenny Shoemaker is our IT Director, and then Sarah Clark in the very back is our new Pretrial Services Director. I do have a presentation for you on the screen, and the packet includes the operating request and position request. The first slide is just kind of a reminder of Superior Court's a pretty big operation, and of course there are a number of different departments, and we specialize in kind of what we do. So at the bottom row there, we've got interpretive services, indigent defense, the Family Law Center, and then what we call our accountability services division, treatment services, probation, and pretrial, that you'll hear a little bit more about, particularly with the new building that we've opened. I'll tell you, pretrial release, I won't say a lot about that. There's no new budget request for that. But pretrial release right now, of course, they supervise folks that have not been convicted of any crime yet and are out of jail. There are over 330, I think 335 in Sarah's July report, defendants that are being supervised by the pretrial release office currently. That's a lot of folks. Two big accomplishments that I just wanted to highlight over the last 16 months. One is our new probation office, in-house probation office, and two is the new building. And I'll start with the new building. Of course, we had the grand opening back in April, and then we were able to move in June. There's a move-in day picture. Our staff helped load up furniture and items, including Chief Judge Deal, who brought his truck, and they loaded everything up and had some assistance from Randy and facilities, and we moved in June. That is a fantastic home for those three departments. On the left-hand side, treatment services, probation services, and pretrial release. Of course, treatment services was at the Long Building, and probation and pretrial were here at the courthouse. We love having all three of them in one centralized location, consolidated, and we've pulled them out of the courthouse, so there are no more drug screens being done on the second floor for participants. Between those three departments, treatment services has about 100 participants across the three problem-solving courts. Probation services is currently supervising over 500 cases, and pretrial, of course, at 300. That's almost 1,000 folks last year that are coming and going and being supervised, and to have all of that offered in one building, fantastic. We did run into some budget limitations on renovating and moving into that building. Mr. Leverett was fantastic at helping us get creative at how to fund some of the needed walls and furniture equipment and bridging the gap between what was provided and getting moved in. So on our part, what we were able to do with Mr. Leverett's direction, some ARPA money that we had available, we transferred, of course, $105,000 into the capital item for that building, in addition to $50,000 from some vacancies in treatment services. And then the opioid settlement fund and the grant administered by this board provided rental assistance. So it was almost $250,000 that helped us get into that building. And there's a few pictures, y'all saw it, but we were able to complete walls and offices with that additional money, purchase some furniture for the lobby, and then also get secured badge access doors back into the restricted employee-only area. Probation is celebrated over 1 year now, our anniversary, and I want to just highlight a little bit for you because it is an investment in that department. It's one that ARPA has helped us be able to do that at no cost to the county thus far, no cost to the county. But this is a great opportunity just to kind of highlight what the return on investment is from them. We hired two fantastic probation officers at the beginning a year ago, one of whom, Sarah, was promoted, and one of whom retired. So in the last couple of months, we've had 100% turnover, and now have Ms. Long and Mr. Woodard, who are our two probation officers on site. When they took the program over in April, there were 425 cases, legacy cases from the private probation company, and we now have 516 cases. But looking at some of the revenue that, because we're not in the, and I'll mention this in the mission statement, probation services is not in the money-making business, but we are in the accountability business. And that means holding people accountable to the sentences that the legislature has prescribed and the judges have imposed. And so we do a lot of debt collection because there's a probation supervision fee as well as restitution as well as fines and forfeitures that our probation officers are tasked with collecting. Last year in FY25 for the year, that amounted to $222,000 in fines, $91,000 in probation supervision fees, and then some change. This year, so far, year to date, $190,000 in fines that's been collected. What might be more interesting to you is how that compares to private probation, to the previous 5 years. I know our judges asked that question, and I'll compare that for you. In the last 15 and a half months, now that we have, it splits, of course, years because we opened in April 25, and here we are in the middle of the summer of 26. But over 15 and a half months, we've collected $397,000 in revenue for Superior Court, $11,000 in pretrial diversion, $6,000 to probate court, and $11,000 to the public defender. That's a good body of work to show you what our officers are doing, what the office is accomplishing. That's $27,000 average collection per month for a total of $427,000 that is direct revenue into the county's coffers. Previous 5 years, before we took it over in-house, this was the revenue that was collected and turned over by the private probation company. That right-hand side, of course, you can compare that to what we've done over the last 15 and a half months. $16,000 previously, and what we've collected on average is $27,000. That's over $10,000 more per month. We don't just look at revenue collection, but we also look at how effective are we at community service. A lot of those misdemeanor sentences include community service hours performed by the defendants. From 2020 to 2024, you can see the average number of hours each year that were, or the total number of hours that were worked. In our first year, 2025, it almost doubled in community service hours. That's a direct benefit to Dawson County. Those services are performed in Dawson County. Those community service hours often are done on behalf of Dawson County government. In 2026, we're on pace to outdo 2025. That's, if you figure $15 an hour of labor, that's over $300,000 in benefit to Dawson County. In addition to, just switching gears a little bit, but in addition to Dawson County probation and the accomplishments that we've done over the last 15 and a half months, we've also, of course, been administering the American Rescue Plan Act grant from the Administrative Office of the Courts. And since inception, that's a 6-year-old grant program now. These are direct benefits to Dawson County, again, where they have provided $80,000 in juror expenses, $81,000 in transcripts, $14,000 in interpretive services, and then a number of positions that have been paid for out of the ARPA grant to the tune of $456,000. So the ARPA grant program to date has been $633,000 that has relieved general fund expenditures from Dawson County. This really isn't just treatment services. These are all of our grants. One of the ways that we try to maximize and be efficient and look for other funding opportunities outside of the Dawson County general budget, general fund budget, is grant programs. And we've been very successful over the last 5 years. Not only the ARPA program, I think we've probably spent more than any other circuit in the state on the ARPA program. We've been very successful. But treatment services also has been awarded a number of grants from CACJ, from the state, the opioid grant, the burn, to the tune of over $3 million over the last 5 years in grants that have aided Dawson County. We're really proud of that. That's been a lot of work, especially for Katie and Treatment Services, Grant Administration, and Dawson County Finance takes a great deal of work and oversight, but $3 million is something to be proud of. Judge Burton, thanks for joining us. Thank you. One other revenue source I'll mention too on Treatment Services, of course, we also collect the date fund on cases that are filed, and then the participants themselves pay a fee to participate in the program. And that's since 2020 what we've collected. We didn't stop collecting the date fund. I asked Katie to pull that graph together yesterday, and she didn't have time to get 25 and 26 date funds from Dawson County Finance. But that does go directly towards the cost of providing treatment services and operating that program. Just an update before hitting the specific budget needs, just kind of an update on what our caseload looks like. Annual cases filed, you can see there compared to previous years. We're busier than 5 years ago for sure. The state does an annual workload value of how many judges are needed for the circuit, and that workload value last year was 7.1 based on the case filings from 23, 24, and 25. So we're handling about 1,500 cases in Dawson County Superior Court. And I'm often asked, and the judges have kind of asked me to look at how that workload breaks down across the circuit. Of course, the circuit includes Hall County and Dawson County. The IGA between Hall and Dawson governing the resource allocation was last signed in 2000. And Chief Judge Deal, I know, has met with Mr. Leverett and Hall County administration about revisiting the terms of that IGA and whether it needs to be updated. Spoiler alert, it does. There's been a whole lot that's changed in 25 years. This graph just shows you the population growth since 2000. In 2000, population, of course, Dawson County was just under 16,000, and you all know this better than I do, but just under 36,000 now in 25 years has grown remarkably, one of the fastest growing, I believe, in the nation. The percentage share of just population-wise across the circuit, Dawson County has increased from 10% to 14%. You're outgrowing your neighbors in Gainesville. A few other metrics that we can look at for just the workload distribution. The National Center for State Courts in the state of Georgia assigned, according to case type, they assign a weighted minute per each case. So for instance, a misdemeanor traffic case doesn't take long at all to handle, but an automobile tort takes a lot longer. A serious felony or a death penalty case takes a lot longer. So what they do is assign a weighted caseload, and when we look at that, that's the second graph there on the 2025 judicial minutes. Our 5 judges spend about 23% of their workload on the Dawson County portion of the circuit. Pretrial new cases last year, 26% of the new cases came from Dawson County caseload, and our accountability court enrollments, 19% from the circuit were Dawson County participants. Now, while we're here today, specific budget request. The first thing I'll mention on the budget request is the state of Georgia in the last legislative session did provide a 6th judge for the circuit. That was based on the workload value of 7.1 judges. Of course, we have 5, and so they have added a 6th judge that will begin work on January 1st. That's subject to appointment by the governor. The governor has just opened up the application period for that new judgeship. So we're optimistic that come January 1st, we'll have some help on the judicial side of it. That does come with some small cost to the county, and if we want to bring back up the PowerPoint, that's probably the best way to go through it. Yes, ma'am. The 6th judgeship, the judges' chambers include the judge, 2 judicial assistants, staff attorney, court reporter, and bailiff positions. Of those, on the left-hand column, 2 of those have some IGA reimbursements that are provided to Hall County. The IGA provides, I believe, for a percentage of the JA and the staff attorney that amounts to $24,000 in new spending for that sixth judgeship. And then the locality pay for the new judge is $2,428. Any questions on that new judgeship, Chairman?
Yes, on the new law that was passed, obviously changed what was a supplement into that locality pay. And that became optional. That was not mandatory, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just checking.
Yep.
Okay.
That locality pay also, the new law provides that anytime the state provides an increase in compensation for the judges, the locality pay is by law reduced a corresponding percentage
If the
point.
board adopts that, yes.
Yes. Any other questions on the new judgeship?
No.
So on the operating budget then for Superior Court, there is a increase in our ask of $40,000, 536. The other big driving change in addition to the sixth judgeship, of course, is ARPA is ending. So September 30th, that is a hard end to all ARPA funds, which means that we've had to budget for increases in jurors, transcripts, bailiffs. All of those things that ARPA has provided assistance for over the last 5 years will be 100% back on the county. So we've accounted for that, and you see the note of ARPA of what those categories are. That's the reason for the increase in Superior Court's operating budget. Treatment services is its own budget. You'll see a net change in that operating expense of $24,675. I'll come back to what's in red to the cleaning service, but we've had some grant cuts from the state in community policing and drug screening that we've tried to accommodate in the budget request. There's also some salary caps from the grants, and there's some overage that we pay salaries over and above the cap provided by the grant. That's about $10,000. That's included in the operating side of it. And then on the probation services budget, so those are our three budgets: the Superior Court, treatment services, and then now probation services. There is a net change of $58,000 that will be driven by office security and cleaning service. So let me mention those two items because those are new program requests this year and why we've put them in front of you. It's fantastic to move into the JAD facility. One area where we are providing less than a level of security, and Judge Deal may want to hop in on this, but as I mentioned, we've got 1,000 participants that are coming into those offices. It's a public building. They're coming in dozens a day. And we don't offer any security at the building. Now that they're not in the courthouse, and of course at the Long Building there was no security. That's a risk for our 8 employees that are there. Those are folks that have felony cases in court. And when they come to court, we have, of course, metal detectors and deputies that are everywhere in the building. When they're coming to report and do a drug screen and meet individually with their staff, there's no metal detector, there's no security provided. Judge Deal, do you want to comment any on that request? What this specific request funds is 20 hours per week at $40 an hour of having a retired post-certified officer provide some security.
I'll just say that doesn't nearly cover the hours that we're open. But just for instance, this morning I stopped by treatment services and it was me, 2 probationers, and Miss Kathy, who works in treatment services, who's a little older than me. We were the only ones in the building until the 2 probation officers showed up. Nobody had a gun, and the one thing I can say is 100% of the clientele that comes to our JAD building are charged with or convicted of a crime. I don't think anybody else can say that in the county, that 100% of the people that come to their building are convicted of a crime or have pending charges. And so we do need some security, especially on the high traffic days when we have like reporting for probation.
Okay, so this is for 20 hours per week. How many hours are y'all open?
Oh, my gosh. I wish I could tell you, but they start before, we do drug screening at 7, I think, in the morning, so there's some people there.
Right.
And then they go classes till, I think, 8 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So,
What hours will these be for? Is there like a set time through the week?
So we've prioritized the probation report days
Okay.
because those are the folks that are post-sentencing. And Trish, Chief Lewis is our chief probation officer. If you want specific hours, she could tell you what she's thinking, but she has tried to establish those 20 hours around their busiest times.
Okay.
Is that right, Chief Lewis? And then Heather Harrington, who also has slipped in, of course, is the Director of Treatment Services, and would benefit as well from her staff having that security there.
Go ahead.
Is this something that just kind of bubbled up, or was this discussed as we were talking about moving into the new building? It's the first I've heard of it, so
Yeah.
it was something called, what I call forever cost, once we go down this path, and I don't ever remember discussing. I know we had the cost for the build-out and things like that, but kind of hitting us.
Yeah, we had started talking about it, even at the Long Building, of how to provide some security. It was more of a challenge at the Long Building. It's been a conversation that the judges have had statewide on the need for additional security because the number of threats has grown. Judge Burton and Judge Deal could speak to that better than I.
well, yeah, I think we begin having these conversations just because of the risk that we realize is there. We're having the same conversations in Hall County. But I will say this, security and cleaning services. I don't know how many years we were in the Long Building, over a decade. Do you know that building was never cleaned by anybody other than my people that work for me or people that are in the accountability court, that was a sanction, you had to go clean the toilets? I mean, we're doing thousands of drug screens, and we don't have anybody cleaning the building. And I think that we moved into a new building. It's a nice building. We want to keep it nice. And, you know, you don't want to be paying a counselor. You don't pay the doctor to clean the bedpans. You shouldn't be paying a counselor to clean the toilets. We should be able to hire a cleaning service that can go in and keep that building clean and efficient and new like it is now. And I'd ask that you all consider that. I helped move stuff out of the Long Building. I can tell you how dirty it was. We found the George Foreman grill that Heather Harrington used to cook her lunch because she would not leave when she was working there. We still found it stuffed under a sink in the treatment center. It'd never been cleaned. It was still there. And I think Dawson County has a higher standard than that. We'd ask that you all consider those requests.
I'm not against these requests. I do, and maybe this isn't allowed, I don't know, but have y'all talked to the sheriff's department to see if you have?
We have not yet, but that's
Okay.
a fantastic.
I just was thinking like, you know, I don't know their deal either, like if they're overstaffed, short-staffed, whatever, but I just thought maybe that there could be an opportunity there before we go down the office security, that maybe there is an officer that could cover parts of the day, parts of the afternoon that are already on shift, specifically ones that are in like the city limits. I don't know what the options are, but at least before we go down this, just maybe seeing if there are some options there. And I get the cleaning services. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I just wanted to talk about the office security more. And maybe they could even offer more than 20 hours.
We would much prefer a deputy from the sheriff's office.
Sure.
Just didn't.
Well, I don't, I'm not the sheriff, so I'm not going to offer them up for the services, but I do think that it could be an option if you talk to him and just see what, you know, or if maybe there's a deputy there that could take on a few more hours and cover it. I don't know.
Well, and for like the cleaning service, we'd be fine with some runarounds from the jail, you know?
Yeah.
Just something other than Heather Harrington pushing.
How about some of those community service people cleaning it? You've got thousands of them, it looks like, hours-wise.
And that's what we've done in the past, but that requires somebody to supervise them, right?
And the other point I'll make on that is the cleaning services need to be a little bit more regular and predictable. So participants doing those community service hours, that's fantastic for going in and doing a deeper clean or doing the parking lot, picking up trash in the parking lot. We do broom awards where they get to go clean. But with the number of people that are coming in and out of that building each and every day, some predictable, we know cleaning services are coming in on Wednesday, and we know the trash is going to be emptied, it's a lot better than, I hope somebody gets in trouble this week, so next week we get our trash taken out.
Well, I will say, I spent a day at the jail, and they do have inmate detail, and they are on regular shifts. That is what they do
Okay.
all day. And again, that's another option that you could ask the sheriff about, or Anthony Davis. I know he's like over the jail, but they had gloves on. They were like in it. So they were essentially doing those duties all day, every day. So maybe that's also an option. I'm not saying I'm against these things. I think that they're necessary, but I do think that maybe let's look there first and just talk to the sheriff to see if those are options that we could work together as a county and do before we take on higher cost.
I think that's a great idea.
Another opportunity, I think, is obviously, it looks like with your numbers that you're giving out in reference to probation services, you're generating revenue. Is there being enough revenue generated to cover these extra costs?
So the probation.
And I don't know how that breaks down and where all that money goes, or if
Yeah.
we get every penny of that or not, but $400,000 with a $100,000 budget tells me there's some difference.
Yeah, so most of that money that's collected from fines is simply turned over to you. It's shown as Superior Court revenue or other sources, and we don't decide how to spend that. That's your prerogative.
I just
What
wanted to
what
make
we
sure.
do have in restricted funds is the probation supervision fee, which is, Chief Lewis, is that $50 a month?
So it's $41 a month, and then the $9 goes to the crime victim fee. That's where we get the total.
So could you provide us with a better breakdown of where all that money goes?
Yes, so $41 a participant goes into a restricted probation
Can
fund.
you send that to us as well?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, send it
Yes,
to us.
Yes, sir. Be happy to.
I'm sorry, but you did say the rest of that revenue goes just back to us, general fund?
There's a
Natalie?
formula with the state, but the money that comes to the county goes into.
That's the formula we
General
want.
fund, okay, yeah.
We want that
Send
formula.
the formula,
And
yeah.
everything's broke down.
Yes, sir.
Thank
So
you.
as the revenue increases, there is an offset for these additional costs potentially.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And those individuals, the security and the cleaning, would they be Dawson County employees?
No. Those are contemplated in this budget ask as outside contractors.
Through your budget, okay, so they'd report to you.
Yes. Yes. Managed and administered by our staff.
Okay.
Unless facilities, of course, wanted to take some management over cleaning services. I'm not aware of any other buildings that have outside cleaning services provided. I don't think there are in the county.
No, they do all theirs. Guess they do their own.
Randy, do you know?
So,
Like an outside service or someone within? Outside, okay.
and when I go back, you were present a moment ago when I was speaking with the fire marshal. That's a component of efficiency that we may be able to find. Let's go find that contractor. You're already mobilized, you're already on site. Can they turn around and add on this additional square footage and we come out less than what we have budgeted? I mean, those are the areas of efficiency that we as a government have to start getting intentional about.
That's good. And Katie, I think we've gotten we were planning to get 3 quotes for cleaning services, and I think one of the 2 may be the same company that provides the health department.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Any other questions on the operating side? Okay, and then I'll flip over to personnel request. The one personnel request is a position that we have funded under ARPA right now, and that's the part-time administrative assistant at the JAD facility. So we've asked for $26,470 to make that position, it's about $18, $19 an hour, to make that position permanent. Again, that's an enormous benefit to having a front desk, check-in person, receptionist, and admin assistant, somebody to answer the phones with the consolidation of those 3 departments. It's the most bang for your buck to hire somebody that can handle a lot of just the day-to-day task on a part-time basis.
We could just find a security officer that can answer.
And clean. And do all of those things, yes. There are a couple of reclass requests that HR and Finance, I think, have had a chance to review. What we did was look at all 8 of our positions, and there are some that needed to be reclassed down and a couple that should be reclassed up, we felt appropriate. And 3 of those 8 are county funded. Several of them are grant funded, but 3 of those reclass requests total an additional $5,678 in treatment courts personnel side of the budget.
You're reclassing them based on additional duties that they're performing?
On reviewing their job descriptions, education requirements, and job duties. It's been a number of years since we looked at that, and they just weren't.
Are these people also in our merit system?
Yes.
So in their merit grade should reflect if they're doing above and beyond what their current job description states. So they would be compensated for that through the merit system if they're doing above and beyond, because if they're doing exactly what their job description says, they should get a grade of 3 and not a 4.5.
And
So,
yes, sir.
question would be, if we reclassify these from 12 to 15s and you rewrite the job description to match what they're currently doing.
This is no new job description. It's the job descriptions that we've hired them under. And the classification is based on the education and task in the job description, nothing more.
But you're wanting to change them from 12 to 15s.
Based on the education and the 2 duties that are assigned in the job description, not on anything above and beyond.
Okay. Anything else?
And then okay, you haven't talked about the one you're asking to reclass to a grade lower, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's to match up with what you're doing in Hall County?
No, it's really to match up more with what is in Dawson County and the rest of the classifications. So we had an opportunity, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago to sit down with Mr. Leverett and Ms. Finley and say, we haven't looked at these grade levels in a number of years, don't know that they're right. Let's look at the job descriptions and try to determine where they should be graded so that we can give the board an accurate picture of what those, if counselors, if you're required to have a bachelor's degree and we prefer that you have an advanced certification or degree, that warranted, based on looking at the classification system from the county, a higher grade.
I appreciate that, honestly. I think a couple of them need to be reviewed.
Anything else on that?
That's the personnel request. Then a couple of capital requests. The JAD facility, of course, we're moved in and operating fantastic. Some of the still remaining needs that we'd like to be able to do. Furniture and equipment, we were able to replace and purchase new lobby furniture, but we have not purchased desk and furniture for the 8 employees that are in the building. Security-wise, we'd also like to install a camera system that's recording, that we can use and we can check. Just a few pictures of the JAD facility. Some of the things that Randy was fantastic at kind of a hodgepodge of desk tables. We even grabbed a conference room table and are using that for a desk. And showing kind of how we're already out of space as we grow there. That second picture is kind of cut off, but that's Miss Clark sitting at her desk, which is a rollaway cart, when she comes out, because she doesn't have a full-time office there, using a rollaway cart to set up her laptop and work from. And then the group room chairs, trying to have adequate seating and standardized seating. So that capital request is $52,000 for furniture, equipment, $9,600 for the security camera system. 2 other capital requests, the courtrooms AV life cycle. 5 years ago, you might recall that we upgraded the audio-visual system in the courtrooms. They have a centralized podium with a computer that is nearing the end of its life. Security-wise, it's a 5-year-old system, and Mr. Shoemaker tells us that it is time to replace those. We got a plan now. Our judges actually, and talking about efficiency in the future, rather than having a computer podium that we have to replace with a new computer every 5 years, we're just going to let folks bring in their own laptops and connect, and we're not going to have a centralized hover cam computer. To do all 4 courtrooms, Kenny, is that all 4 courtrooms? The same vendor that's provided 5 years ago, the AV upgrades, now would be 146 to do the 4 courtrooms. And then digital takedown, one of the things we're excited about the state did too as well, for misdemeanor cases particularly, there's an option now to provide digital recordings of court proceedings that are then transmitted to a court reporter to prepare a certified transcript. As we grow and have 6 judges and increasingly court reporters are hard to come by, what we can do is install some equipment in the courtroom that would record the hearing, try to identify by speaker who's speaking, and then transmit that to a court reporter. That cost, initial cost is $8,600. We see that offering some efficiency down the road, and that's to equip 1 courtroom initially, Kenny, and to kind of a proof of concept to see how that works. But we'd like to begin testing that next year and see how it works. Any question on the capital request?
I have a quick question. Can you do the digital takedown? And I'm not saying we are or we aren't, I'm just asking. Can you do the courtroom digital takedown and see how that goes without doing the audiovisual modification?
Yes.
Okay, so this one doesn't require this one.
That's correct, right?
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
And our IT folks were the ones that did the courtroom AV upgrades not long ago, wasn't it?
It was the same outside vendor that would do this, but Mr. Thompson was heavily involved and oversaw that, yes.
Was that 4 years ago? It doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
I said 5, it might have been 4, it was 21, 22.
That's one of those things that the building is going on what? How many years is this thing now?
2012.
So it's got to be always capital to update our computers and all that stuff because the technology just degrades, and that's
Stay in the splosh too.
yeah.
And we could push those AV upgrades to the end of 2027. The challenge, of course, is the prices probably go up by then. But it's not a on fire kind of situation where we've got to do that first thing 2027. But we wanted updated pricing. We know it's got to be done, and the timing of that, of course, will get your direction. Judge Deal, what did I leave out?
Hopefully the revenue side.
Well, funny you should mention that. One stat that Jason forgot to mention is, the state does an economic study on accountability courts, and they say that each graduate brings in about $26,000 in economic benefit to the state. We've had 18 graduates thus far this year from the accountability courts, so that's about $450,000 over $450,000 of benefit for the state because of those graduates, and our accountability court keeps growing. I have 2 personal requests. This may be for Joey more than anything else. Here's my 2 requests. Can we have a trash can in front of the JAD building and maybe have somebody that would empty it? The trash can we had in front of the Fouts building that subsequently got moved to the treatment building was a big plastic trash can that was donated by a participant. That was the trash can we'd had at the treatment center. And we want to keep that place clean, so I'd like a trash can.
Judge Deal, I know for a fact that we have a bear-proof trash can over at Surplus that would look great over at the accountability. And I bet Randy would be able to move that pretty soon.
Perfect. We like to keep people to keep it clean, but they need a place to throw their trash. And the second is this.
Don't bring their home trash with them. We don't want to be
No.
hauling that.
No. The second is this, talking about efficiencies. The Hall County clerk sent out an email a couple of days ago that said he had 2 cubicles that he was getting rid of because he's renovating his office, and he was going to throw them away. And so I said, we'll take them. So this morning, I dropped a trailer off at Treatment Services that has 2 cubicles on it. And if it's at all possible, could we get somebody to help unload those cubicles and put them together in the JAD building so I can retrieve my trailer tomorrow when I come leave drug court tomorrow afternoon? It's free, and they're really nice, but I have neither the ability nor the aptitude to unload and put those things together. So
can
if we
certainly
could get
take
some
care of
help
that.
doing that.
It's a good thing we're not a union shop. I think you'd be violating a lot of union regulations, but we'll, yes, sir, I believe we can help with that.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate you all and all that you do. We feel like we try to be good partners with Dawson County and try to bring efficiencies, and we try to do things as best we can. I think you'll see that, like, our case closure rate is higher than most of the state, even though we're doing a workload of well over 5 judges worth. But if we can do better, y'all, please let us know. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll mention on the clearance rate too, the statewide average across the state of Georgia is 84% clearance rate. Your Dawson County judges last year were 118%, which means they're closing out cases quicker than new ones are being filed, which is fantastic. And the traditional model of justice funding is, especially on the criminal side, you leave them in jail until trial, you sentence them to jail and prison after trial, and so most of the cost of that are borne by law enforcement or the prison system. You've got a group of judges that work very, very hard to spend that money in a different way that ensures public safety, changes lives. That includes the accountability court program, that includes probation services, and that includes pretrial release, that are all trying to spend money wisely and more efficiently, so that rather than just locking them up and paying $80 or $70 a day in jail, they are becoming law-abiding and citizens, but also, in the meantime, pretrial release is a whole lot quicker than sitting in jail, and probation, in-house probation, direct benefit. So we want to continue to maximize those opportunities, and it requires judges who are willing to staff it and spend the resources and the time outside of just hearing the case on the bench. And our judges do that and do a fantastic administrative job of overseeing a lot of different programs. Thank you all so much. Any final questions?
Thank you.
Judge Bird's got a courtroom full upstairs, and I got to get to Hall County for the same thing. Thank y'all very much.
All right, Joey, I think you're batting next.
Yes, sir, thank you. I have 2 items to present today. First, under administration, but first I'm presenting for Keep Dawson County Beautiful. Their operating budget is pretty much static, but there is a request this year to increase the supplement that the director of that program receives. Currently, the supplement is $5,000 a year, but it is split. We have 2 executive directors of Keep Dawson Beautiful, and they do a great job. They've really, the Keep Dawson Beautiful through the years, which I believe has been in existence for 15 or 20 years now, it's kind of ebbed and flowed, as far as participation, and that really is centered on having staff to, engage folks and have do programs and partner with other groups that are working also to do environmentally friendly and oriented tasks, and currently, like I said, is split between 2 existing employees, but what we're asking, the request is to increase the supplement from $5,000 to $7,000, which again will be split evenly between the 2 at $3,500 apiece for a supplement for the Keep Dawson County Beautiful executive directors. And again, I believe it's been the existing supplement rate pay for well over 15 years. It hasn't changed in a number of years. So they are doing more. They have been successful in getting the group more engaged, and we just want to recognize that inflation and things have changed, and there's time to consider a increase in that supplement. And that's all I have for Keep Dawson County Beautiful.
Questions on that?
I'm sorry, I have a question. So instead of, okay, so the current stipend's 5,000 for 2 individuals, and it used to be 5,000 for 1 individual. And so now it's to increase it from 25 to 35 per, so are there 2 directors?
Correct. The duties are split,
Okay,
and that's.
when
there's
did that
no-
change?
Last year.
Okay,
Last year. And there's no intentions to change for 27, but I do suspect at some point in the future it'll go back to 1, but it's hard to say, you know. But if it were to be 2, it would be split. If it were to be a single person with those duties, they would get the whole supplement.
okay.
Other questions? And then you had on the other?
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is exciting. I think the board's aware, we've been working on an initiative, a new benefit for employees for the county. And Tammy, I'm gonna let you come on, bring your way up here. This is really an initiative we started looking at over a year ago with the possibility of having a on-site employee health clinic. I'm presenting this under administration, but this is actually something that would affect every department in Dawson County and every employee in Dawson County. So it's more of a general than just embedded in administration. The cost would probably be split through departments or be a separate item. We hadn't quite figured out that yet, depending on approval, exactly how we would embed it in the budget. But I'm going to ask, I think Tammy Starkley with Alliance, she's been before you before with some information. When we were here before talking with you, we didn't have all the answers. We didn't know what the model would be. We didn't know what the cost would be. We didn't know what the vendor would be. So we were limited on what we could tell you detail-wise on this possible initiative. But a lot of work's been done in 2026, and we're able to finally get to the end of the solicitations and provide a lot of information and a detailed plan of what we're proposing for on-site employee health clinic. And with that, Tammy, I'm going to let you. She's got a lot of information for us, and I'm going to let you have the floor in the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is not in here though, correct?
No.
Okay, just making sure that I wasn't missing something, sorry.
No problem. So we've really appreciated the opportunity to work through this with the county over the last several months. So this has been a project in the making of first reviewing what is the feasibility and the business case to potentially implement an on-site employee clinic. Where would we see benefits for the employees, for the county, overall within the health plan and the budget? So this morning I wanted to talk through what that process has looked like and what the end recommendations would be if the county looks to pursue implementing an on-site health clinic. So as we review today, what we're recommending is an approved funding, a staffing model for a clinic, how the operations would run, the services that would be available within the clinic, and looking if the funding is approved within the budget to start implementation early in 2027 to have this available for county employees and their families next year. So as we look at why now and why this is an important, valuable benefit for our employees, one, we're looking at a rising cost of healthcare. The county is not unique in seeing increases in health insurance cost across the board. We're seeing that with all of our city and county government clients. Private employers see this too because of rising cost of care, high cost medications, increasing chronic conditions, potentially aging population. And so how do we best manage that when we're not going to be able to directly impact what the cost is at our local hospitals with our local providers? And so with the clinic, this gives ownership back into the health plan to manage those costs on more of a wholesale level. So by providing dedicated staffing, wholesale cost on lab supplies that that in turn takes out of the retail market those costly services that we can internalize within an on-site clinic. We're also looking to provide access to care to a workforce that is 24/7, that potentially has limitations to when they can see a provider and how they can access care because of their schedule, making it easy for them to get comprehensive care with a dedicated provider that they can see every time they need them for an acute care situation when they're sick or managing a chronic condition. With the facility that has become available with the old health department, that makes it a prime opportunity to access that real estate that's available and to leverage that into this solution of an on-site clinic because it is designed for this type of service to be operated within it. We're also looking at not just the health plan costs, but also occupational health. So as we look at ongoing workers' comp cases, how can we best provide solutions to access care when those injuries might occur on the job and provide immediate care and triage into a specialty if needed. And then really investing in the health of the population by providing that more comprehensive level of care, dedicated coaching, ongoing solutions to help people understand how their lifestyle decisions impact their care and manage those long term. So the opportunity for primary care is, again, looking at providing accessibility, using data to understand what impacts the health of our population, the employees and the dependents. How can we support them in best managing their health, making sure that they have comprehensive access to care. So seeing a provider, the same provider every time, having not just a quick 10-minute conversation, how you feeling, are you good, okay, your blood work looks okay. Really digging into what impacts their overall conditions and ongoing well-being. So for the RFP process, as we evaluated vendors to provide this on-site clinic support, we looked at full RFP, so submitted to all available vendors. It was a public bid. We had 11 vendors respond, which was a great response to providing the services within the on-site clinic. And when we talk about a vendor that would provide this type of service, is that they are providing the staffing, the overall management and training of that staffing. They're providing the emergency or the medical record systems, the prescriptions, the supplies, all of that goes into operating the clinic. And so there's a management fee for that service. There's a cost for the staff that goes into the budget, and then a pass-through cost for prescriptions and supplies within the clinic. So we look at that across the board on who had the best scope of services that they could bring to the table for managing acute, chronic, and occupational health services, as well as what is their experience in working with similar entities. So are they working with city and county governments, understanding the population, understanding the work schedules that go into best providing services for these employees. So we did conduct, from the 11 proposals, 3 finalist interviews to come to final recommendations on what management, staffing model, and final cost would be for the proposed clinic. So with the proposed clinic model, from the thorough review, first location would be at the former health department, so 54 Highway 53 East. And then staffing based on cost, expected utilization of the services, proposed model would have a nurse practitioner available for 36 hours a week, a medical assistant available 36 hours a week, and then a virtual consulting physician. The hours of operations would be yet to determine as we begin implementation. So we're looking at 36 hours a week, but we can spread that over different time frames. So we could have early mornings, later in the evening, look at potentially a weekend shift and spread that out to make sure that it's most accessible for all employees in all work shifts. With this, the design would be to have no cost for utilization of the clinic by employees and their dependents that are enrolled on the county's health plan. If an employee is not enrolled on the health plan, they can still access that clinic, but they'll pay a $20 copay for a visit. The proposed services, one, provide preventive and primary care. So this is available for all employees and dependents over the age of 2. So they do provide pediatric care. Looking at providing those wellness, preventive type visits, but also acute care. So if someone's sick, they need immediate care. Often it's difficult or impossible to get into your primary care physician for a sick visit, and that's when people get pushed to urgent care or even to the emergency room. So providing access for the acute care availability. Chronic condition management. So if someone is dealing with an ongoing chronic condition, then they can also see these providers to manage that care. No requirement that someone replaces their primary care physician or their current specialist. This is just another option for them to access care. Also providing on-site labs and testing. So again, no cost to the employees and dependents that are enrolled on the plan, so they can get their annual physical labs there. They can test their A1C, and that is no cost within the clinic. Specialty referrals, so if a patient visits the clinic and seeing that nurse practitioner and it's something that needs additional oversight from a specialist, then they'll be referred to a specialist within the current health plan network. And also looking at one, who's local, but also the quality of that care. So there's different metrics that the providers can access to know who has best patient outcomes, who's seeing the best results for any specific procedures or condition management that that employee or dependent needs. And then overall general wellness. The county has done a great job with wellness initiatives, providing education and solutions for employees to manage their health, but providing that level of access within the clinic and having a nurse practitioner guiding that, they can often interact with them to understand, what do these test results mean? How do I improve on that? Helping them set those goals to improve their health and following up with them on that to see where they are in relation to meeting those metrics. The clinic would also provide the ability for members to receive their prescriptions. So these are going to be either acute care prescriptions like antibiotics, so something one time, or ongoing chronic condition medications. The goal there is that these prescriptions are going to be monitored to make sure that the patient stays within adherence, that they're taking the medication, they're not seeing any side effects. They'll receive those medications at no cost, and it'll be shipped to their home. And then finally, occupational health. So providing immediate first aid, injury triage when those injuries do occur on the job. Also providing the physicals that are needed for employment, as well as the pre-employment drug screenings.
What about drug screenings related to, like, if a road member had an accident, we can do that now instead of,
Yep.
like, I know we use like Northeast, or I don't know who we use anymore, but we used to use Northeast Georgia and Northside. Like, we could do that in-house now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so any of those specific scenarios where a drug screening is required can be done within the clinic.
Okay. I'm sorry, one more question.
Sure.
Do y'all know, we pay for that, right? When we do it out? Okay, so then that cost would be
So now,
eliminated here.
well, it comes back as just a pass-through cost within the clinic. So
Okay.
just the cost of
Of
like
the-
the lab
right,
or any
right, right.
supplies.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. The goal of the service is also to enhance the member experience, so making it easy to schedule an appointment. Employees or dependents can call the call center to schedule an appointment. They can schedule on the mobile app, or they can also send a text. And I mentioned earlier about having availability for acute care, because we all know the frustration of when you call your primary care physician, you're like, sick, I have a fever, and they're like, okay, we can see you next Thursday. You're like, well, I'll be better by then, hopefully. But with the clinic, they would hold appointments to have a certain number of acute care visits every day to make sure they can see those employees and dependents that need immediate care. Walking in the door, they're going to check in. Wait time is typically less than 5 minutes because they're only servicing the population of the county. And they're going to verify their personal information and then immediately be seen by the vendor. We're seeing the average time with the provider, so with the nurse practitioner, is 32 minutes. And so that is providing that more comprehensive, detailed care to understand truly that member's health and how that provider can best help them. And what we see out of that level of care is those providers asking more questions, digging deeper on how they can support that patient. And where we see that is that they're requiring, hey, you know, I've had this pain in my knee, and typically, you know, your PCP may say, all right, we'll take some ibuprofen and we'll check it next time you come in. But with this type of model, they're going to dig deeper to look at, you know, have you done any different exercises? How long has this been going on? Maybe we need to do an x-ray or need to look deeper to see what is causing that and really impacting the member's health and productivity long term. And then checkout post-visit, they're going to receive a survey to understand how was their experience and to gauge that ongoing from all patients. They'll receive a written prescription or a mail order prescription if that is needed from their visit. That'll be in home delivered, and then follow-up scheduling if they need a next appointment.
I have a couple more questions, just because I know they're going to be asked. This clinic will see any employee with the county, and then their dependents.
Yes.
So with their dependents, is it as young as newborn age?
2.
2, okay. You must have said that, I missed it. What about like vaccines for those 2-year-olds?
Yeah, they typically recommend that they still go see their
Their
pediatrician.
pediatrician, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
One of our biggest expenditures is pharma, I think, when we look at our losses on our healthcare costs. You say that we are able to provide male pharmaceuticals to no cost to the employee, but we still pay for that, I assume. I mean, somebody's paying for it. So is there a part of this that really is a negotiated pharma discount can we do that without can we do that ancillary of the clinic?
So it is a negotiated discount that the vendor purchases as a pool with all of their clinics. So they do have access to negotiated discounts, and they're going to be generic medications. So the goal is that when possible, members are taking generic medications because they're available at no cost through the pharmacy. So it is an incentive to choose generic over name brand. So doing it outside of the clinic, I don't think they'll do one-on-one because it needs to be a prescription that's written by one of their providers. So they're writing the prescription. If someone brings in the prescription, they could fill it through it, but it has to be filled through their type of pharmacy program. So value on investment, you know, your question leads to this is, how are we saving on the care that flows through the clinic, as well as improving the health of the membership and improving long-term trend on the claims? So one, providing comprehensive primary care, filling any gaps when someone hasn't received their preventive care, they're not taking their medications appropriately, following up with them on those required services, avoiding emergency room and urgent care services whenever possible, because we all know those claims cost 5 to 10 times more than just going to your primary care physician, and definitely a lot more than they would within this clinic environment. So providing that easy, convenient access to care. The lower cost medications, encouraging generic, making sure there's adherence within those. The specialty referrals, so that those are value-based and only used when they're absolutely necessary. So if it's something that can be seen within the clinic, then they're providing that level of care. Occupational health, so the drug screenings, the triage for those services. Right now, those are going to different providers, and there is a direct cost to the county, so internalizing those, bringing those in-house for a lower wholesale type cost, and then improving productivity of the population. So really where we see the biggest return on investment with the clinic is the improvement in the health of the population. So providing them that direct access to dedicated care, the coaching that comes with that, the intervention when there is a gap in care. So you see within the data, so the clinic is really driven on the data of the population. Someone has a diabetic has not had their A1C tested. And so they're going to make outreach, the health coach, hey, we see that you haven't had your A1C tested. This is something we can help you with. Bring you in, schedule a convenient appointment, no cost to you, and make sure that they are best managing those chronic conditions. Someone going in for a preventive type care, they're doing a biometric screening, their blood test, identifying what are their risk conditions. Because believe it or not everybody goes to get an annual physical because it takes time away from work. I've got to remember to schedule it, and it's not easy to get in. And providing a convenient access for them, they can go in and see, do I have high cholesterol? Is my blood pressure high? What does that mean? What do I need to do to improve that? What does my diet need to look like? Are there medications that I should be taking? And then following up to see every couple of months, am I experiencing improvements and meeting those goals that I set out with my dedicated provider? So the projected savings we're looking at, the investment in the clinic is $431,000 a year. So that's for the nurse practitioner, the medical assistant, and the projection for the cost of supplies, labs within the clinic. So we're looking at return on investment is improvement in the health of the population, bending that trend line on your increased medical claims, pulling out those occupational health and emergency room and urgent care claims out of the retail market back into your clinic. Also replacing telehealth that's provided to all employees now that would be provided as a 24-hour service within the clinic vendor. Bless you. And then with just the drug screening cost on the occupational health is about $5,500. So overall, a savings of about $675,000, or I'm sorry, a return on investment $675,000 a year. That won't be year one. We know that we're not going to impact the health of the population year one. Typically, we're going to see a start to change in your chronic conditions, your high-cost claims, early prevention and intervention start in about year 3. So it is an upfront investment in the health of your population to get to where you're going to experience that, that strong ROI.
So if you'll go back to that slide. So you're talking about the ROI and you're talking about pulling out these chronic conditions and going back to what you were talking about earlier with the vendor, really taking the time. I mean, a lot of this depends on the buy-in by our employees and also a true provider that that is focused on that. And that can be an individual basis because, I mean, you could go down to Northeast Georgia at the clinic at 400 and go to 2 different doctors, and one may care about it and one may not. So how do we ensure that the provider that we are getting is focused on that? I mean, because you're talking about a nurse practitioner and you're talking about nutrition and wellness and exercise and all that. And I'm not saying that there's not some out there, but that's not what they're taught in school. I mean, they're taught medicine. How do we treat medically with medicine? Because that's where the money's at. So how do we ensure that we get somebody who cares about the wellness and the underlying issues rather than just the medicine?
Yeah, so the great part is that this is the county's clinic. The county is a part of that hiring process. So the vendor would identify potential candidates, and then the county's a part of that interview process, identifying who they want to put in that role, and then managing that long term. So if they feel like that provider's not the right solution, they can make a change.
If I could, Mr. Dowers, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The key to success with this is relationship-based medical care. The models that I've been a part of in the past, the nurse practitioner that it got to the point, not day one, everyone knew that person. And a person with the right personality, it is. Someone that has a diverse background, like just as you mentioned, that could do multiple things. It is getting the right person is the key to the full success of this initiative. And those people are out there. There are some dedicated people in the medical field that this is what they want. They don't want to just be cycling people through. They want relationship-built medicine where they know their clients, they know their patients, and it does take a little time, and then you have to find the right person. I hope we can find somebody locally. I hope we can find somebody locally that's, and I think we can. You know, being this close to the college, you know, and I do think the interviews we did with the vendors, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the vendor we're going to pick, but the ones we think we're going to select, they have multiple clinics. And again, they agree, this is their model. We want to be relationship-based. And in order to do that, you've got to find a qualified person, and you got to pay them. You got to pay them to keep them. Some people in the nursing industry are looking for these set 36 hours. I think there's people looking for that that are outside of a normal doctor's office. They're almost, the nurse is essentially going to be the doctor in this clinic.
That's what I was, Seth, I think you're right, but I think the differential is between a doctor and a nurse practitioner. Like, I have a couple of friends that are nurse practitioners. They're taught differently than doctors. They're taught more like bedside manners and how to relate to the patient and more along those lines of treating everything, whereas the doctor is taught solely medicine, treat, diagnose, move on.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle on a personal level because, you know, that doctor has a lot more years of experience. And I'm not saying that nurse practitioners don't have their roles by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, education does go a long way. I'm not saying it's 100% that a doctor knows more than every nurse practitioner. I'm not saying that, because there's certainly colleges that teach you more. I know there's, in today's day and age, in general, we focus so much on medicine and not on the individuals themselves, just in general. And I think if this is going to be successful, you have to have that. And then I guess the other follow-up question to that is, what's the buy-in on getting people to leave their current? Because if they already, to your point, if you've already got a relationship with your primary care physician, like, what's the buy-in from somebody who already has that relationship?
Well, I'll tell you, the buy-in for me would be no copay, because I pay $30 every time I go, even if I have a relationship. No medicine costs, lab cost is covered, and I get a bill for that on our insurance with Dawson County. I still get a lab bill if my out-of-pocket's not met or my deductible's not met, along with the copay. And then, you know, you have your preventative stuff that's covered, which is like your physical and your OBGY stuff one time a year, but all of this is covered inside that cost anyway. Never mind for my kids. I mean, every time Zai and Avit get sick, it's a $30 copay. Zai has to see 2 specialists, which is a $45 copay. But some of what they're covering here can be covered in that without having to see those specialists. So, I mean, that, and closeness, like if you...
Convenience.
I mean, convenience, because a lot of people go to, like, some see here, but some people go to Northeast Georgia, Gainesville, Cumming. And I don't think it's taking away, like she said, you can still have that relationship, but like, instead of going to a pediatrician on the other side of Cumming, I could bring Zai here for strep throat.
It's definitely.
Me, it's money and convenience.
Absolutely. Ms. Bruce is absolutely right. The convenience factor, you know, literally, 5-minute wait. I think it's going to be less than that on some days. If you have an appointment at 9 o'clock, you're going to see the nurse at 9:01. That's generally the way. I'm sure there are exceptions to that, but that's the convenience of getting in and getting out. You know, especially the fire and the deputies. You know, they can do this on shift. You know, they can run in there on shift and take care of it. Well, all employees would be able to.
Yeah.
While we're on this slide, I wanted to make sure that, and I'm sure Tammy's going to hit some more on it, but this cost, the $431,000, that's a negotiated price. That was not their first price. Alliant has helped us negotiate their proposal down significantly. These costs, $23,000 for telehealth and the drug testing, occupational health, the $5,500. We're already paying that. Mm-hmm. We're paying that every year. So essentially, we're talking about $400,000. And I don't want to steal Tammy's thunder, but this is a tremendous opportunity for Dawson County. And Tammy's done a great job, and she's got a few more slides. But if you break this down, you're talking right at $1,000 per employee. Is what the cost is annually. And we've all seen the trend on our renewals for our health insurance. This is the most dynamic thing we can do long-term for the health of Dawson County. We're looking at, here we are on August 15th, August 18th. I'm looking at this, what do we look like in 2029? What do we look like in 2032? Of the cost savings and returning on investment. You're not going to see a 1.5 return on investment in 2027. I can guarantee you're not. It's long-term. It's investing in the health of our employees. It's investing in the quality of life of our employees. I think last time I checked, our average age was, and it changes every year, average age of our employee was around 42 years old. We're not getting any younger. But anyway, that's my soapbox there. I'm going to turn it back over to Tammy, but it's a good point, a good time to interject some of those points.
I do have one more question. Wow, that was really loud, sorry. So you had said that it was zero cost if you're on the county insurance. If you're not on the county insurance, it's a $20 copay. Does that mean you still have to have some form of insurance?
No.
So someone could not have insurance that's a county employee and just still pay only $20?
Correct.
Okay. Seth, that's another one, because if you don't have insurance at Northeast Georgia, to be seen, it's $100, cash price.
Absolutely. And Mr. Towers, you asked, how do you get people to buy in? It's going to take a little time. I'll tell you, the biggest buy-in is going to be word of mouth. The deputy's going to be over there, or the fireman's going to be over there. Man, I feel terrible today. Well, hey, man, go to the clinic. It won't take you 5 minutes. And after they do that a time or two, they're like, man, this is great. This is, and I got my medicine, and I'm feeling better. I'm back at work. I'm not missing work. So it's almost going to be word of mouth. It's going to be the best buy-in, and it will take a little time. I think they will see their numbers slowly creep up on the number of patients they treat as the months go by.
I'll go back to the pharmaceutical side of it. The generics is not where our expense is at. The specialty meds is where our expense is at. So you look at our overall pharma spend, I don't know the exact number, but I think it was 80 to 90% was the specialty drugs. So I kind of mitigate the idea of the other ancillary stuff because that doesn't move the needle a lot. So specialty meds is not included in this, correct? Or is it included? So if I needed a specialty med for a certain circumstance, that number just gets sent over to our insurance, correct?
Yeah, so as it's proposed today, it's generics, but because it's a generic at no cost, home delivery written by that provider that you're seeing, then the gauge is how many are you shifting from specialty utilization to generic, because now the convenience and no cost available. So that's part of the cost savings, is looking at shifting from specialty to generic whenever possible.
Okay. Yeah, I zoom out. Would it be great? Yeah. Is it convenient? Yeah. Does it save employees money? Probably. But where I'm conflicted is who pays this? Who ultimately pays it is the people that don't work here, the people that pay taxes in Dawson County. And a lot of them don't have their own insurance. And so is it convenient? Yeah, great. Is it the Cadillac plan for employees? Yeah. Would that be great for employees? Yeah. But the people that pay taxes, I struggle asking them to pay for a convenience for other people when they don't have that themselves. And that's something that I struggle with. And that goes beyond just this. That goes with many different things that government gets involved with. And I think that there's a macro challenge with health insurance in general that we're not solving with this alone, that it includes everybody in the United States. I'm just not sure that I'm willing to spend extra taxpayer dollars for something that is a convenience for a limited number of people at this point. Is there an ROI? Maybe. I mean, I've talked to other county managers and county commissioners that have these programs. They haven't realized it from their perspective. And so I appreciate the information. That's just some of my thoughts. I mean, we have Dr. Berliner's office. He's a emergency care. I think you said that your first slide, I think it said 11 miles away was the closest urgent care. Well, Northside Hospital's bought land here in the city limits, and so I think it's a matter of time before they go vertical, and that's private sector going vertical with the emergency med. Dr. Berliner's office is about 4.3 miles away from here.
They don't take insurance.
Correct. And they're 4.3 miles away. They can be aggressive. The other emergency med, which is Piedmont, is 6.5 miles away on 53. And then you have Northside as well as Northeast Georgia. Not to belabor the point, but appreciate the information.
Yeah, and I think the point is that emergency room is going to cost on average $1,500.
Yeah, I'm
for
not talking
that
about
visit.
emergency room. I'm talking about, just the urgent cares as
Yeah.
well as your local doctors. I see a doctor that's been in the community for, Dr. Anderson's been around forever, and I have a relationship with him. I mean, back to Seth's point, I can call the office and they can, work me in, they can get me in. It's a relationship that I have. It's a relationship that I've established with a doctor. And I think I get, from my perspective, I get a level of care with them that may be equal to this, potentially. But, just thoughts.
Okay. Any other questions? You got any more slides?
No.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Joe, you're going to do Public Works?
Yes, sir.
Robert's not with us today?
Robert is out of town this week, and so I'm pinch hitting for him. Get my notes here real quickly. First, to note on Public Works request, I will start with capital, and those are, of course, in your packet. There's two big capital requests this year. One is related to replacing 6 existing school flashing beacons. And I won't go through every detail. They're in the request there, but this does include installing two new school locations for Riverview Elementary and also at Kylo Church Road at Kylo Elementary. We've had some difficulties with the operations of some of the existing beacons, and we're talking about replacing some existing ones. From a financial standpoint, a good bit of this can be paid for through GDOT, LMIG, safety action projects. LMIG, you're all familiar with those programs as far as our roads and pavings. They also have some LMIG funds for safety. They're just a safety bucket, and we believe we will qualify for those. So the request is spending a total of $88,000 in '27, but we believe 50,000 of that we'll be able to secure LMIG funding, leaving the county with a $38,000 to replace some existing school flashing beacons and install a couple of new ones. And we will continue that program in outer years, hopefully. The second request, a capital request, was a shed, a pole barn type shed. The request is for design architectural money in '27, $20,000, and then construction of the pole shed in 2028 for approximately $300,000. So those are the two capital requests from Public Works. Operationally, no major changes, no staffing request. I will note two changes that are in your packet that are notable. We have quite a bit of road striping to do that we have not done in the past this year. That's kind of an initiative for 2027. Traditionally, that has just been embedded in the budget under supplies, like the supplies account. And finance agrees that we should break that out into professional services, because we actually use a contractor for striping. But that is something we need, quite a number of locations that need restriping this year. So that's to be noted. And finally, also, as far as an increase, you will see under our energy account, electricity account, we do have an agreement with GDOT for some maintenance on some of our signals and also of our lighting. And that's also worked through, some of that's worked through Georgia Power, through GDOT. That has increased. They advised us there was going to be an increase on that agreement that we have with them. And that is also in the dollar amount I'm going to have to turn over here momentarily. Let me make sure I'm saying the right one here. Here it is. That increased about $30,000. No, I'm sorry. That increased approximately $5,000. $5,000 was the increase for that agreement. And there's some other minor increases, but overall, that is my presentation for Public Works.
Go ahead. I have a question kind of not about this.
Talk a little bit about go over to small equipment, because there's some jet blowers and buckets for skid steer. That's a change, obviously, from,
I did read that. Let me get on that right. Okay, let me get on that right page here.
it's on the back side, yeah. Small equipment. 2 jet blowers and buckets for skid steer, which last
Yes,
year's,
sir, those are the requests. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any specific information on those. I know the jet blowers, they use it when they're cutting the right of way to blow the debris off the road, and I assume that's simple replacements.
yeah, it
And
is.
I can follow up with Robert and get some more details on that if need be.
Well, it just shows up as a major change from 7,000 to 39, so yeah,
Why is that not capital?
it's not dollar high enough for capital.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Did you have anything else?
No, I'm done.
The capital request, was that originally requested in our splosh that we went through 8 months ago?
There is no specific project in SPLOS for school beacons. We do have some funds in T-SPLOS for safety that they would qualify. And if I remember, we had made some repairs to some of the ones on Dawson Forest that weren't working correctly. We're still having problems with them. I think that the school beacons, we are wanting to put this in the capital specifically to have a match for the LMIG funds, because they're not specifically listed in, correct me if I'm wrong, Natalie, they're not specifically listed in a SPLOS project or a T-SPLOS project. There is some opportunities to use those funds for those type things sometimes, but they're not specifically listed.
They
What
fall
was-
under safety.
Was the shed, was it requested originally when all the department heads submitted for the splosh budget that we just went through?
I think it was requested, and again, I could be mistaken, but it was requested last year in the budget and did not make the cut.
In the splosh budget?
At least last year, maybe.
No, in the budget,
no,
in
in
the
the
regular
budget.
No, I'm talking about this, we just created a splosh budget that was just approved. Was it requested in the splosh budget?
No, there is a SPLOS, a large project in SPLOS 8 for redoing the transfer station. But this is actually related to as far as physically located, this pole barn would be right behind the existing Public Works office.
I guess that my question, just procedurally, why was it not requested in splosh 8?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because they requested in budget last year, if they just thought, hey, I'll request it again in budget this year, and
It seems like
they
you
had
didn't
more
get it
bigger
in
priorities in SPLOST.
general fund budget, then you would request it in splosh from a capital perspective. I don't know.
And the
It's a big
SPOS
number to come out of general funds.
Yeah, the SPOS project was out of a master plan design for the transfer station.
Yeah.
And I think this is more operationally for the road crews, more of a one-off type thing.
I do have a question, kind of about budget, not really about anything he requested this year, because he doesn't have any personnel requests, but I remember last year in budget, he requested a position for a public works, assistant public works director, and we still haven't filled that position. Last year I had recommended that we do an engineer instead to kind of cover two things, and maybe we could up the price slightly so that we could actually get someone in here that could do maybe potentially both things. What are we doing with that?
We are still actively recruiting the assistant public works director, capital projects manager, had multiple duties for that. We've been done a number of interviews. We still haven't found the right candidate. We've gotten some new applicants recently within the past few weeks. We're still engaged with those, have some interviews still set up.
Are
But
we
really,
not finding the correct person, or is like salary an issue? What's like
we have not found a qualified person.
Okay.
The salary has not been, we hadn't really got that far.
Okay.
We haven't been able to find a person that,
Is just qualified for what y'all are looking for?
yes,
Okay.
it's been very difficult. And we knew it was going to be a challenge. We knew it was going to be a challenge. Again, we do have some new applicants that came in the past 30 days that are encouraging. So we're still going to pursue that, and hopefully, we're still hopeful that maybe by the end of the year, we'll have somebody.
Okay, I just wanted to see where that was at. Thank you.
Look at contracting with recruiters.
That is,
Jobs.
since we've been unsuccessful so far in finding, that is the next phase, is looking at some type of contract operations. And that's a possibility. We're a small organization. Ideally, we really want to find somebody that's going to stay with us a long time.
Well, and I haven't looked at it at all. I'm just asking, like, for it to be a assistant public works director, it's a large department, to be the capital projects person, it's a pretty big spread on what the responsibilities are and what the expectations are. Does the salary meet that? Because I'm just wondering if we're not getting qualified candidates, because it seems like a lot for maybe an underpaid position.
Thus far, the salary has not been the stickler point.
Well, for the people that have applied. My
Yes.
question is, are we not getting people that are applying that are qualified, so y'all are not interested because the salary on there is set too low?
Not getting the looks.
Correct.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
I just wanted, I guess if these next 30 days, if the ones that y'all maybe potentially interview over the next 30 days, maybe between looking for a recruitment company or looking back at maybe, does the salary meet the requirement of the job? I don't
Absolutely.
know. Okay, thank you.
The statistics aren't there because it didn't happen.
And that's all I have on Public Works.
Other questions? Thank you. Richard here? Let's take a break. Take about a 5-minute break. This was it. So, yeah, I mean, if you get like we had last night, the rain we had here, you'd be back again.
It's the same thing at the regular gym. The first 2 months of the year, it's gonna be busy. The last 10 months of the year. Carry all the drains, all the gutters, everything's gonna be on that all. I refuse to. I mean, I do, cause you pay the same damn thing.
Right.
So you go into the doctor, co-pay's the same. What they charge is the same. And like, I'm not naive to the fact that they're profitable, I'm not out there. So it got above the pipe. But like, I go from X, I'm like,
Backed up.
I'm paying for a doctor. So you put a doctor in front
Well, that's something that you would have thought they would,
because the last
you
time
would have thought whoever engineered those other two buildings would have thought of that.
and it hurts every push it.
You have a perspective that impacts your.
But I mean, it's, you know, I have said, if you charge me less for some of these,
Right. They're paying less.
you're paying them less.
They don't own it all.
You're paying
All of it.
Not their,
So their hands are like this, they can't.
but they're the ones paying for it.
So are they gonna file some kind of, probably something against the county, city
own it.
lawsuit? Yeah, I'm sure there will be. Well, if the state's like it is here, you can't sue them unless they let you. You can't, Georgia, really. You can't, no, you cannot sue Georgia unless they allow you
Get
to.
along, they're allowing Texas.
They have full immunity.
And I'm like,
They have,
you know,
we don't have that, but the state has full immunity. Georgia does. I don't know, but, well, they,
Thank you, Commissioners. Pretty straightforward this year for community development. We propose no new capital expenditure projects or purchases. We got one position that we're looking at, an existing position, zoning administrator, where it is pay grade 14. The proposal is to reclassify that as a pay grade 15. There are some additional duties and requirements that we really need out of this position. It has nothing to do with the individual who's in the job at this moment. That person has been in the job for years, and there would be no additional monies that would be related to this if the position itself shifts from 14 to 15. It's something where recognizing that we really need additional help on civil plans review. We really want to make sure that when another Sagewood or another Olive Garden or Dunkin' Donuts or something comes in, that for commercial, for residential subdivisions, there are a lot of regulations, and it's intended to be the best quality product possible for new development. An example, which Commissioner Gaines will be glad to hear, in the vicinity of Northside, I think it's Northside Dawson Road off 400, there's a proposed two-story medical office building, 14,000 square feet, that we're talking with some folks with a concept plan. And that's an example here where we really need the position of zoning administrator to know not just the zoning, but be able to implement it and have those requirements of fully crossing over into plans review, permitting, business licensing, making sure that an unauthorized use does not go into a neighborhood. For example, we don't want a new auto repair in the middle of a subdivision, so we don't want a license issued like that. We don't want an incorrect permit, and we want to make sure on plan review that we do the very best possible. So that's what that is. The other one is generally about personnel with both code compliance and our planning and inspection staff. where from time to time, they will go next level. Let's say there's a staff person who has to have an entry-level certification. They take a test, they get that, that's fine. That's part of their requirement. But we do have an instance where from time to time, one of our staff will go above and beyond. We're not talking about something that's out of their realm that they will never use. We're talking about a direct skill. So for example, if there is level 1 that an employee needs, they take a test, they get certified in that, that's a requirement. There's no additional money that goes with that. But what we're talking about is next level, level 2, and there are details in here about the specifics on what level 2 would mean or what directly related to that job would mean. But this is a 3% certification merit program that's proposed. As noted by HR, I have been informed that there is an optional informal program in place where if something is of extraordinary merit and one of our staff gets it and it's directly related to their job, they can use that skill and benefit themselves and the county, that a individual request can be made of the county manager's office regarding a 2% increase. So I'm aware of that now. Other than that, in terms of the general budget, the majority of what we're proposing and has been recommended by finance is the vast majority is either staying the same or decreasing. There's a lot of line items in here that are proposing to decrease. So really, as a whole, community development proposed budget, we're just not seeing things go up by, 5, 10, 15, 20%. We're not seeing that in this finance recommended proposal for the department. We're seeing, again, the vast majority stay the same or decrease. And we do have a lot of decreases.
And we want to thank you for that.
Now, that's probably a reflection of some of the actions we've taken on zoning changes, ordinance changes with regards to big tract developers coming in. There's probably a little bit less workload that's having to be managed or shouldered, I guess, as well.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the acknowledgement of that. It's that's good.
I have a quick question. Okay, so on the merit increase for achievement, so the 3% step increase, I see it for code compliance staff with 3 certs, and then the building staff, and I see where they would have to get certain stuff, or planning and building staff, sorry. So once they accomplish these things, they would just get a one-time 3% salary increase.
So it would be something as proposed, just as at the end of the year when we do our evaluations with longevity and merit. At the end of the year, when you're evaluated and you get whatever percent increase, that is stacked on top of your existing salary. That would be the same case here. It would not be like we're giving out a $1,000 bonus and that's it. It's something that an employee would carry through.
Right, no, I understand that. I
That's
guess.
correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I guess what I'm asking is, I see where HR had recommended not doing this because it could cause compression. I think it could cause compression if we were doing it yearly, but once they get this, it's only certain requirements. So once they reach those requirements, it would just be that one-time increase of 3% at the end of the year.
That's right, yes, ma'am.
And then it would just move forward, moving on from there.
It would.
Okay.
Is that somewhat in alignment of what we did in the? No, we did it in
Fire.
Fire and
Yep.
EMS first.
Kind of a training thing, yes.
Yep.
Falls in that line.
That's where it kind
Yep.
of started.
And I think I think that's awesome.
It's in the same area, yeah, same perspective.
Well, and I think it helps with longevity and keeping people here, keeping them up to date and trained, and I think that's huge.
We've got, for example, in animal control, our staff has really stepped up and done a great job of, the job description may say, okay, you need animal control level 1. We've got folks who are stepping up, getting level 2, and we're trying to respect that and notice that in official recognition. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you.
Other questions for Richard? Is that all you got? Thank you. All right, back to work. All right, Randy, you're up.
Morning, Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to come to you this morning to present. To begin with, first of all, in the 2027 capital request, the facilities budget takes care of the historic jail. And in doing an assessment of that building, it has been determined that there is some work needed to be done to it. Currently, as a matter of fact, starting today, we had already pre-arranged to have a painting company to come in to replace some wood and to do all the white trim and bring that building back up into today's standards. And we were doing that within the budget of what we currently have for 2026. So in regards to the proposal here is that back in 2017, the board at that time, they approved a elastomeric coating that was put on the historic courthouse. And that pretty much did away with the majority of the future maintenance, or up until this point, in 10 years, there has been very little maintenance that's had to be done on the exterior of that building. So it's a tremendous benefit, and at that time, they spent about $56,000 to have that done. Of course, we're 10 years later, and we have sought out the guidance of people that work in the preservation industry to be able to give us some guidance on how much this may cost. And one group said that it could cost anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. So basically, until we get all the hard number in place, my recommendation is just to put a number for today in there at about $82,000, just to see where we go with that. And then once we get a more firm number, and then once the board has approved it, then maybe we can send it out for the bidding process to see what kind of numbers we actually do get. But like I say, it's just a longevity measure. It's been tremendous on the historic courthouse, and it would basically just preserve the historic jail in the same manner.
Is it still being utilized for court? I mean, is it still operational as a court?
Pardon?
No.
He's talking about the jail.
But it's still operational courthouse.
The
wow.
courthouse is still an
Yeah.
operational
So,
courthouse.
I mean, it's
yes.
still, I think
can.
it is the oldest working courthouse in the state of Georgia.
It is.
I think they do one or two divorce cases a year over there to
Yeah.
keep it.
Yeah, keep the thing going, yeah.
Keep that trend going.
Keep that thing, yeah.
I have a quick question about that. So because it's historic, I know, like, have we looked into, like, any grants to help?
As a matter of fact, that's the goal, is to go through the finance department and see if there's any grants out there available for this.
Okay.
That may help to pad that.
Yeah, I know, I don't know, it's been years ago, but I know that Public Works when I worked for Public Works, we were looking at doing something over there. We were helping Talbert. And I know that at the time I think he was working with Lori, and there was like a historic, I can't remember, maybe Georgia Heritage Grant? Something like that. There were two grants that were potentially available because it was a historic, whatever. I don't know if those would still be available or what the criteria is, but.
I've reached out to people that work in the preservation industry, and one of the gentlemen mentioned that he had not worked with any grant processes in his history of doing that work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe reach out to the city of Dawsonville, see if they have a grant, since it's in the downtown area. They might have a grant we can apply for.
Maybe they want to help. Yeah, we can look at that. We should look
Okay.
at grants for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, they might want to help.
As far as the rest of the 2027 budget, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of changes there. The one item that is a notable change that was always handled through the property repair and maintenance was a line item specific to HVAC. We have a lot of buildings that the facilities budget does cover the cost of replacement of HVAC. And so like, for instance, the chapel building where voter registration is, and the ag center and the library and different ones, this line item would just help us to better track the expenditures that we are spending just for the specifics of replacing HVAC equipment. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of changes, but it does reflect about a 5% increase in the facilities budget overall.
Questions for Randy?
We are taking on the new buildings, the new health department building, as far as things such as exterminating services, the new fire station number 3 that's ongoing right now, that'll be started up before the end of the year, and the new EOC building. There's services that our budget would normally handle in there, such as pest control, inspections of all the fire-related equipment. They have a hood suppression system for the gas cooktop. Basically, anything that operational-wise for that building, the backflows, any building that's got an elevator in it, we have certain inspections that have to be done every year.
What about the gym when it comes online at Rock Creek? Is that under you or is that under Park and Rec?
It's under Park and Rec. Yes.
Anything else?
I believe that's got it on mine.
Questions? Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you. So who's coming from Lake Lanier? Okay. All right, well, y'all got another break. We're waiting on them. Huh?
My name is Victoria Clevenger. I'm the Executive Director of the Lake Lanier Association. I am presenting a budget request in the amount of $10,000 for fiscal year 27. We currently receive $5,000 in support from Dawson County, and we would like to request additional funding for additional programs here in the county. You have a packet of paper slides in front of you that does vary from what is on the screen. The slides on screen are actually from a presentation I did here at the Commissioners meeting in 25. So they are a little outdated, and there's just some metrics of success that I would like to be able to update you on. So your first page there shares a little bit about who we are. If you're not familiar, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and the work that we do extends the whole entire lake. So starting up here in Dawson County all the way down to Gwinnett. Some of the programs that we are most known for is Shore Sweep, and Dawson County has a great representation at that event on an annual basis, especially at War Hill Park. So thank you for your continued support in that way. I did put some metrics in here about what Lake Lanier does for the area at large, and specifically some metrics here in Dawson County. I don't want to spend time talking about those today, but they are there for your reference. And then getting into the things that we would like to do this year or next with the additional funding. One thing that we are very passionate about is boater safety and resources. So we would like to install life jacket loaner stations here in Dawson County. Currently, this is the only county on Lake Lanier that we do not have a life jacket loaner station. We see War Hill Park and possibly Toto Creek as great locations for those. Those stations would be monitored Memorial Day through Labor Day and stocked on a weekly basis with infant, child, youth, and adult life jackets. Those would be courtesy, free to use, and they are bilingual signage. You can see our current list of stations as well. We have 12 of those currently. Again, we would like to expand into Dawson County in the coming year. Some ongoing projects that we're already doing in Dawson County that we maintain, monitor, and will continue to do so with your support is our solar light program, and that is the installation of hazardous solar light markers on those hazard markers around Lake Lanier. We actually have 300 of these across the lake. 31 of them are here in Dawson County. On an annual basis, we spend about $8,000 monitoring and maintaining the solar lights right here in this county. The program at large does exceed that by about $30,000. It's about a $40,000 program in total, but about $8,000 is spent here in Dawson County. Those solar lights are, again, monitored on an annual basis and replaced as needed. And the lights we use are C-grade and do come with a 3-year warranty, and we do our best to replace them within that time frame. That's, of course, all pending if the Corps needs to replace the hazard marker itself or anything of that nature. We do work very closely in partnership with them to make that possible. Another program that takes place here in Dawson County is our water quality testing. We have 25 sites all across the lake, and actually 3 of them are right here in Dawson County. And at the end of each month, those samples are sent to the Gwinnett Water Lab for evaluation, and they produce what is called a water quality report or an index. That's slide 13 on page 7. It shows us things like the Secchi disc reading, which is for clarity, temperature, and helps us determine chlorophyll in the water, which can be a contributor to algal blooms. While Dawson County does not receive drinking water from Lake Lanier, this is still vital for those that use the water recreationally. This type of metric helps us determine if it's safe for swimming conditions or if we should be careful and not get in the water. And then again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, Shore Sweep is one of the programs that you probably are most familiar with hearing about. We are so appreciative for Dawson County's support, and we hope to continue that here this year and beyond. We do have sites at War Hill and Toto Creek, and this year will be our 38th annual cleanup event. In 2025, so this event takes place every September. I spoke with you guys, I believe it was in April, so a few months later after that we had our September event, and we had a record-breaking year. We removed 128 tons of trash and had 1,200 volunteers with us. So that is a major labor of love, and it is not possible without the community's support. And our event for this year is coming up on September 19th. So you've got that date there as well. Just a few other things for metrics of success and giving you the confidence that this is an organization to support with confidence. We have our value to the nation, which has been determined in partnership with the Corps of Engineers. It exceeds $1 million, and that is far more than our annual operating budget. And that is determined by environmental stewardship, recreational programs, and volunteer hours. And you also have some metrics in here regarding our financials, which is revenues and expenses. This is what is published in our annual report, which was included in the packet. They have been since undergone a financial review, and everything checks out great. We have our published, of course, 990 available for reference too. That's the Lake Lanier Association.
Questions for Victoria?
Yes.
Sound like you're doing a good job. Keep it
All
up.
right. Thank you.
10,000 additional or 5,000 additional to equal 10,000?
To equal 10,000 in total, yes. So we would love to maintain the current 5,000, but with an additional 5,000, we could do a lot. For instance, those life jacket loaner stations I mentioned, it costs about $3,000 in materials and labor to actually put together a loaner station, plus the materials of the life jackets themselves. So we see the majority of that going towards that program, and then it could also be utilized to help further fund those solar lights or aspects of shore sweep and water testing. If you have preferences on how that funding is spent, we are open to that feedback. Otherwise, we would just use it within the programs already taking place in Dawson County.
You just said you're requesting 10, so I just wanted to make sure it's 10 total and
Yes,
5 in
ma'am.
addition to.
Yes. Yes.
What did you say Hall County provides? How much do they provide?
We receive about $65,000 from Hall County.
Okay.
I
About the
can't
same
believe you
from
let these 4 on Live Lanier.
Well, it's a good episode, actually. If you scan that QR code there, it'll take you right to it.
Silky, Justin.
Did you have another question? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so that's all we have for today, and with that, we are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.